Watching Travis Kelce play football is something I consider lucky to be a part of my life. Every Sunday I can sit down and have a million questions running through my mind like, is an announcer going to jinx the team again? Or is this the week the Broncos offense doesn't look like a JV team? But the one thing I know that's for sure going to happen on Sunday is that Travis Kelce is going to be open. A lot. What I find so funny and interesting, but also so frustrating, is the fact that everybody from the defensive coordinator to the fucking long snapper knows that he's going to be open and they can't stop it. No matter how hard they try to limit him, how hard they try to press him on the line and bracket or double team him, he'll make like life and find a way. Shout out Ian Malcolm.
Life finds a way.
It's almost like he reads Patrick's mind before the play even starts because, honestly, that's the case. They're always on the same page, and there's only a few receivers and tight ends in the league that you know what routes they like, you know where they'll line up on certain downs, what plays they'll like to check to in a certain situation, but it just doesn't matter. They'll physically beat you to the point of attack and win 50-50 balls and route you up no matter how you play them. It's also a testament to coaches like Andy Reid, especially because he's not afraid to line Kelce up anywhere because that's the advantage you have with guys like him. So how is it possible though at this age of 33 years and with a pair of legs that aren't necessarily going to hit 21 miles per hour and burn you, that he's just able to keep getting open? I think ultimately it starts with the playbook and how Andy Reid uses Travis Kelce, which as I mentioned is all over the field. When Kelce's lined up wide to the left in a trips formation, for example, the offense might call for him to motion closer to the formation to create a stack, look at the line, or a bunch formation, which just gives your best playmaker more free of a release. They also like to line him up isolated in 3x1 alignments, which for any corner, safety, or linebacker is just hell to try and stop. Two are not big enough, and the linebacker isn't fast enough and clearly doesn't have the coverage skills like a DB does. You see Kelce bully corners and safeties because of his size, but it's really how he uses his size that separates him from other receivers and tight ends. When coming off the line, he knows he's able to use every part of his body to his advantage. He'll use his hop step to disguise a route. He'll use his body almost like a basketball player running an ISO. And he uses his hands to separate by keeping them wide and his body low. Again, kind of like a basketball player. He's so good at doing it so subtly. He never gets ultra aggressive because he doesn't have to. He's such a good route runner and he understands how a defender is trying to play him before I think the defender even knows. He never lets you know if he's breaking in or if he's breaking out. If a defender tries to get physical with him, Kelce lets him, and he matches his physicality. He's matching the defender pressing him with kind of pressing the defender himself. It almost looks like he's trying to block them sometimes, which is pretty funny, but he's really just running his route. Kelce's excellent with his patience. It's similar to how Keenan Allen, Michael Thomas, Brandon Ayuk, Hunter Renfrow, Cooper Kupp, etc. That ability to sell like you're going one way, make the defender bite a little bit or a lot to just give you that extra few inches, which in the NFL, that means everything to a quarterback's ability to get it to the receiver and for the receiver's success. For some guys, it's never about being the fastest. It's about beating you off the line and within the route itself. And when you're really good at that and you can get open and find soft spots in the zones, and when plays break down, you know how to communicate telepathically with your quarterback, you're basically a lost cause for NFL defenses. I want to get a little deeper on how Kansas City uses him on choice routes or option routes, which is when the designated receiver is able to run a route of their choice depending on what coverage the defense is running and or how the defender covering them is playing them. This is literally clockwork for Kelce and Mahomes. They do it in their sleep. The go-to guy on this offense is Travis Kelce. There is no question. So they do everything they can to put him in a position to get open, even though he really doesn't need help. Andy Reid does it anyway because that's his job, to make things easier on an offense by formations and concepts. And sometimes Kelce lines up next to a receiver so that he has the advantage of starting his route as the receiver clears space or they run a switch route. Where if the receiver starts right of Kelce on the formation, he starts running left, then Kelce, who starts left of the receiver on the formation, will open up his route to the right, square his body, and then by the leverage of the defender, he'll decide where he can break out. And I'm going to show exactly what I mean by all of these examples. So right here is an example of what I was talking about before with him being lined up isolated to one side. He's going to be lined up man-to-man against Rasul Douglas, who's a very good corner in his own right. He's going to get up and widen his route. And once he sees Douglas starting to bite to Kelce's right, he sells the route like he's going to break out, and instead he breaks it up the field. When you're running your route, it's sometimes just good to realize, hey, I know where I'm supposed to run. I know what my route is, and the guy that's guarding me doesn't. They may have an idea, but that's what makes him different. He just knows how to attack you based on how you're aligned, no matter how you're aligned. This play came in Super Bowl 55, and this is a bit better of an example because this play definitely is an option route, and it shows what I was saying before on how Reed loves to motion Kelce into these stack formations and let him do his thing. Getting behind Watkins allows him to develop his route slowly because he knows he's going to get a free release. His eyes are on linebacker Levante David because he knows for him that it's a guessing game. David is just going to have to trust himself, but Kelce once again is too good at picking the right option, hence the name option route, and he cuts it in and he gets a nice gain. This is probably my favorite play that just shows everything I talked about in one play. He's lined up on Pro Bowl safety Malcolm Jenkins, and it's a corner route for Kelce, and Jenkins is going to be lined up in man coverage. It's not just his mind, but it's his physicality. Watch him here. He's going to square up, and when Jenkins engages, so does Kelce. He matches the defender and what he's trying to do. That's something that he's just so good at and something that you really can't teach. Jenkins isn't going to win because Kelce is so much bigger, obviously, and he gets Jenkins completely off of his technique, and that's exactly what Kelce's plan is because he knows he's going to be able to rattle him. The split second he realizes that, that's when he breaks to his right and uses his hands, like I said, before he keeps them wide and to either side of the body of Jenkins and throws him like a stuffed animal. It's a great route, it's great physicality, it's great hand usage, all in one. So now we know that Kelce is used everywhere and every which way on the Chiefs offense, and he gets open because he's a tremendous route runner and a physical specimen. That almost tells the whole story, but the last thing that makes him so good at a relatively old age for a tight end is his run after catch ability. And the one game that I think perfectly sums this up is the game against the Chargers last year, not this year, even though you can pretty much go either way because Los Angeles hasn't been able to guard him. It's the game-winning play in overtime right here. He's isolated and gets the crosser, and what makes him so good in this category is that his cuts are sharp and he's quick. And I don't know how because, again, he really isn't all that fast, but he is at the same time. It's like when people say sneaky speed, this is the guy that they're talking about. He cuts upfield and passes by everyone, and the reason that he basically goes untouched is, yes, because he does have good speed. And he does have good athleticism for his size, but it's more subtle quickness. Defenders don't really think he's going to try to hit him with a move or run past them until he does it, and then it's too late. They get thrown off by his speed for a guy his size and his age. Kelce isn't just a tight end, he's a football player, through and through. And he's the closest thing to a perfect player on offense. He can block, run routes, catch everything, and get yards after the catch. And when you have someone like Patrick Mahomes throwing you the ball, that doesn't hurt either. The duo is deadly, and it won't slow down because no matter what coverage you throw at him or what player guards him, he's too big and he's actually sometimes too fast. By the fourth quarter, he'll have you worn down. You've tried everything, he's done everything back. You don't have an answer because it doesn't make sense. Well, it makes sense for him because life finds a way.